Hi everyone, I'm Heather. I have posted a few videos on YouTube before in the past, but this is my first time making a video specifically to post on YouTube. And there's a couple of things that inspired me to do this. The first is that I have 3 children, and my 2 younger children have each started their own YouTube channels recently. My daughter's YouTube channel is called Tawny Wafer, and I'll put a link in the description below. And she's a performer, and she basically likes to sing songs and write songs and sing them and perform them for you. My son's YouTube channel is Butter Ben Vlogs, and he basically shares things that a boy his age would like to talk about. Things like Roblox, Nerf, Legos, and he's also going to be posting some videos about our travels and adventures as a family. We recently went to Valley Fair in Minnesota, and I'm working right now on editing that video and experimenting with the editing software that I bought. So I apologize if this video isn't that professional. I'm still experimenting and learning about the editing software, and hopefully all of our videos going forward will be much nicer because I'm learning how to do that. Also, so far we're only using smartphones and my son's tablet to record our videos, but I'm hoping to buy a GoPro and a tripod and a couple other pieces of equipment to help us make these more professional going forward. So that was the one thing that inspired me to start making videos. The other thing that inspired me was there's several YouTube channels that I subscribe to and that I enjoy, and most of them have to do with travel. Specifically, cruises and Disney. Those are our 2 favorite things that we like to do as a family. I've done a lot more traveling than that, but those are my 2 favorite types of destinations. And it occurred to me that I could probably make some videos when I am traveling that would be the type of thing that I would enjoy watching. So that kind of inspired me. And specifically today, what inspired me to make this particular video today was Morgan from Morgan's Very Unofficial Travel Guides, which you should check him out on YouTube. He's probably my favorite YouTube channel, and I support him on patreon.com. And he made a video today for Sunday Sofa Storytime about his upcoming cruise that he has booked that he's taking next. And I currently have 3 cruises booked within the next year that we'll be taking as a family. And I've had a lot of friends and coworkers asking me about those cruises. And so I thought this would be a good time to start a YouTube video so I can tell you about those. And you can look forward to my making videos about them, and then you can see them when we post that additional content. So that's what inspired me to make this video today. Okay, I want to also promote and give a shout out to my favorite YouTube channels that I subscribe to, so you can kind of get an idea of the things that I like and what I'm hoping to sort of emulate. Morgan's Very Unofficial Travel Guides, which I already mentioned, is one I subscribe to the Tim Tracker, DSNY Newscast with Jack. That's one of my favorites. I really like DFB, the Disney Food Blog. I really like their videos. They're very helpful. And what else? Oh, Tips for Travelers with Gary Bembridge is one of my favorites. Touring Plans. Theirs are terrific. I really like touring plans. And if you know the Unofficial Travel Guides, they're the same people who write those books, which I find very helpful, especially for theme parks. And I know I'm forgetting somebody. Touring Plans. Royal Caribbean Blog. They have a YouTube channel as well. And I'm probably forgetting someone, but those are some of my favorites. Okay, so that's what inspired me to make this video today. And I encourage you to check out those YouTube channels and my kids' YouTube channels, please. Okay, first thing I'm going to talk about a little bit is past travel, like my travel history. So as a kid, I got to do a lot of traveling thanks to my dad mostly. My dad is a train fan, both a model railroader and a regular trains that you can ride fan. Has been for years. He has model trains in his basement. We've gone on a lot of like historical steam train rides around the country. One of the ones I remember from when I was a kid was the Durango and Silverton steam train ride in Colorado, which is really pretty and cool. That's one to check out. So things like that. So I got to see a lot of the country, in fact, all 48 of the continental United States, before I was an adult because of my dad taking us on trips. We did most of those trips by train or car. I enjoyed them, got to see a lot. However, I don't like to travel the same way that my dad liked to travel. One of the main things is he liked to cover as much distance as possible in a short amount of time as possible. So that meant lots of long hours in the car with very little stops. And he also didn't necessarily like to spend very much time at one location. So I feel like I don't remember places that well that we visited as a kid because we would be in and out so quick. As an adult now, I do not like traveling by car. And about 2 or 3 hours one way is about my max. And one of the reasons for that is that my oldest son, who has a driver's license, he does not feel comfortable driving us as a family, and which is totally fine. So I have to do all the driving because my kids currently are 21, 14, and 10. So I'm the only one who can drive, and I'm a single parent. So obviously, you know, like 9, 10, 11, 12 hours in the car, just I'm going to be really tired. So that's not something I really want to do. But I got to visit all the classic cool stuff as a kid. I mean, I saw all the major American cities, really pretty much all of them. Went lots and lots of places on Amtrak. So I was really fortunate that way that my dad took us a lot of places. To give you kind of an example of how much my dad loves train travel, when I was studying abroad in London as a junior in college, my dad took the opportunity, since he was an empty nester at that point, basically, he took the opportunity to travel on Amtrak all the way around the perimeter of the United States. And basically he got off every once in a while to golf. And then the rest of the time he was on the train. He made lots of friends that I think still keeps in contact with some of them. And I would get all these cool postcards in London from all these places that he went. And my friends were all jealous, like, oh my gosh, you get so much mail. Because that was before email. And, or computers, really. But, so he really enjoyed train travel. Unfortunately, I don't think he's really done much train travel since then. We went on a trip as a family, my dad, me, my then husband, and it was my 2 oldest kids, my youngest wasn't born yet, to Washington, D.C. in 2005. I think that's the last time any of us went on Amtrak. Yeah. So anyway, then as a young adult and as a college student, I mentioned that I studied in London. My junior year of college. Prior to that, I also did a study abroad, sort of in a homestay in Ireland, the summer between my junior and senior year of high school. And then my mom and I took a trip to Paris and London in 2000, maybe? It was when my oldest son was 2. And then I took my son, my oldest son, when he was 10 to London in 2007. And that's the last time I went to Europe. So I haven't been to Europe in 11 years. Beyond that, my son and I traveled quite extensively. My oldest son, I was a single mom when I had him too. And he and I did quite a bit of traveling, just the 2 of us, in those first 5 years before I got married. So we did quite a bit of traveling around the country. And then but since I got married and had my younger 2 kids, our traveling was severely curtailed. And part of that was financial, just, when you've got 3 kids. But part of that too was also, I just loved traveling a lot more, and it was more of a priority for me than it was for my husband. He said about every trip that we took, "This is the best trip I've ever been on." But he would not make the initiative to plan travel, or, it wasn't a priority for him. And my kids and I were just discussing, we think that's true for a lot of people. There's people who travel and vacation, and there's people who don't. And granted, some of the people who travel, it might be like once every 5 years or something. But I've just come to kind of notice that some people it's not a priority for them. And so they might say, "Oh, I'm so jealous of you. How do you get to travel so much?" But they don't really care. They'd rather spend their money in other ways, or they do spend their money in other ways that aren't necessarily as, the same. They buy stuff, or they buy fancy cars. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, how can you afford to travel? And because I'm a single parent, I work only 9 months of the year. I'm off in the summer just like my kids are, so I don't work all year long. And I guess that's how I would answer, is it's really about a priority thing. I don't have very big expenses otherwise. I own my house. We've lived in the same house for 15 years. My mortgage is only $600. Sorry. And I don't have a car payment. I have a car, but I don't have a car payment. I pay cash for my car. And I don't buy stuff. I've had the same furniture the whole time we've lived in this house. And some of it is even, like my daughter's bedroom furniture is my childhood bedroom furniture. I have the same pots and pans and dishes that I've had since I got my first apartment when I was 21 years old. And we don't have flat screen TVs. We have the old-fashioned tube TVs. They still work. So we just don't buy stuff. I guess that would be my one piece of advice. If you don't buy stuff and don't replace things all the time, you have more money to go places and do things. And I would much rather spend my money on experiences and time away from the routine of home with my children than anything else. It has become painfully clear to me that my time with my kids is short and goes by very fast. And you do not feel that way when your kids are little, but you really feel that way when they get bigger. My son left for college. He went to university. We live in Wisconsin, and he went to school in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. He's going to be a senior. And he left in the fall and came back at Christmas and Thanksgiving and stuff. But then we were kind of expecting, oh, he'll be back in the summer. Nope. He stayed on campus every summer since he started college and worked full time. And he's never come back in the summer since. So he doesn't live here anymore. His stuff is still in his room, but yeah. So that's something. They are gone before you know it. Like you think, oh, we still have a few more days. Yeah, no. We still are trying to take family vacations, but the thing, once one of your kids is in college, you don't always have the same school breaks. And that's a problem. And summer is not the best time for me to take bigger vacations because, like I said, I don't work in the summer, and so money is very short in the summer. Yeah. And also, travel is more expensive in the summer. It's more expensive. Everything's more expensive. Hotels, places you go visit, and they're more crowded because that's when everybody's off school. So I would like to travel more in the summer, but it's hard. Where was I? Sorry, I lost my thought. Past travel. Traveling with my kids. Oh, so I only have 4 more years until my daughter goes to college, and I only have 8 years until my youngest up and leaves me, and then I'm on my own. So I really want to, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. I don't know how I'm going to feel about, am I going to still travel by myself? I have traveled quite a bit by myself, so I'm not scared of it or anything, but it's going to be different. And so I really want to cram in as much as I can with my kids while I have them with me. And that's why I want to spend my money that way. Also, just the other day when we were at Valley Fair in Minnesota, twice my son said to me, and once my daughter said to me, I am so happy right now. Those were literally the words out of their mouth. I'm so happy right now. I'm really happy right now. And that means everything to me. They love it when I pull them away from their screens and we get out and are doing things together as a family. And there's no distractions and we don't have to worry about what am I going to cook for dinner and all of that. Those are my most precious, valuable times in life to me. And so it's very much a priority for me. So yeah, as a family of 5, when I was married and had all 3 kids, we literally only took one family vacation, all 5 of us. And that was to Disney World in 2009. That's the only one we took where it was all 5 of us. Before my youngest was born, we took a few bigger trips. We took a Disney cruise. We went to Universal Studios, Florida. That was actually the same trip. We went to Washington, D.C. on the train, which I mentioned, in Colonial Williamsburg, and we went to Boston. But on all of those, my dad went with us too. And I think my dad probably paid for most of it, if I'm remembering right. And so it wasn't really our family, just mom, dad, and the kids. And so that was a little different. And then since then, 2009 was the only one we took, the 5 of us. And then my husband and I were separated from basically 2010 on, and we got divorced in 2013, and he lives far away now, and we haven't seen him in years. So it's me and the kids, and we have only taken a few big trips together, the 4 of us. We took, in 2012, August 2012, we went to Disneyland in California, and that was a really great vacation. And that was my first time as a mom with all 3 kids, and my youngest was only 4, taking them on a plane somewhere far and seeing that I can do this by myself with 3 kids. So you can. And then 2015, we went to Disney World in Florida. And that was my 6th time there. In 2017, a year ago at spring break, we took a Disney cruise, a 4-night on the Disney Wonder. And that's our last, those are our only 3 vacations, the 4 of us. So as you can see, we couldn't really, afford or hadn't really planned out how to do more than that in that time. So it was basically like every few years. We did, however, take a lot of little trips, in the car. Wisconsin Dells is an easily accessible destination for us. A lot of stuff in the Twin Cities, around Wisconsin and Minnesota, things like that. Illinois. We did a lot of that when my kids were younger, which is a reasonable thing to do when your kids are little and you can have all their stuff in the car and all that stuff, But now that they're bigger, I really want to try to just do big vacations, because I have a long list of places I would like to still see and visit with them, and not a lot of time. And so I don't want to, you may not realize that people say, oh, well, we can just go do this and it's cheaper. But if you add it up, you actually end up spending more money on those little trips than you think you do. I mean, by the time you spend money on gas and hotel and food and all that, a couple of little trips, you could have taken one big, nice trip that involved air travel. So I really want to focus on not doing so many little trips and just doing big ones. And my goal is to go somewhere every spring break, because these last few years when we didn't get to go anywhere spring break, we really hated it. Everybody else is going somewhere for spring break and we're stuck here. And spring break in Wisconsin is not really spring. It's still winter. It's still cold and there's still snow. We had a snow day in April this year. One year we had one in May. So it's not a pleasant time. You don't want to be outside. You're basically stuck in the house if you don't go anywhere for spring break. And going on our Disney cruise at spring break and going on to Disney World 2 years before that on spring break was really, really nice. So it's very important to me that we all get to go somewhere on spring break. Now, unfortunately, my oldest son in college and our spring breaks don't always add up. So like this year they didn't, next year they don't. So the younger two and I are going to have to go somewhere without him. But he is doing plenty of traveling by himself, which I will tell you in a minute, so I'm not going to feel bad. But anyway, and then I would like to do something in the summer if we can. But like I said before, that's kind of financially difficult. Okay, catch you up on my son. My oldest son, Andrew, caught the travel bug from me, probably because I took him lots of places as a kid. And he has done quite a bit of traveling himself. Our high school in our town provides for a lot of really great travel, educational type travel opportunities. And he got to do something each of the 4 years he was in high school. And that also explains why we as a family didn't get to do as much during those years, because I spent the money on him. Right after his freshman year, we have a organization, which you should check them out on Facebook, Flags for the Fallen, and it's a 4, the number 4, Flags for the Fallen. They focus on like the history of Wisconsin veterans, people who've died in wars, and they make a kind of a mission to put flags on the graves of veterans in the places that they visit, and they raise money for veterans groups and things like that, as well as their travel experiences. And my son went on that trip when he was right after his freshman year, June after his freshman year. They're currently on a trip to Washington, D.C. right now, and he went on one with them to Washington, D.C., Gettysburg, Philadelphia, and New York City. His sophomore year, the other thing is our music department at our high school takes a big music performance trip every other year. So winter/spring of every odd year, they take a trip. And he went on that one his sophomore year. They went on a cruise. They went on a Royal Caribbean cruise on Monarch of the Seas. I think it was Monarch. As a group, you know, we're talking 400 kids on 7, 8 buses drove down to Florida and got on the ship. And then they performed on the ship while they were on the ship. And we actually got letters about how respectful and well-behaved these kids were, you know, because some of the people getting on the ship at that time were like, oh my gosh, what's with all these teenagers? But we actually got very positive feedback about the kids. So anyway, he got to do that. And then right after his junior year, he went to France. The French teacher at our high school takes a trip to France every other year, has for quite a while, hoping she'll still be doing it when my daughter gets up there. And he went to northern France. It was part touring and part a homestay program. So that was a very positive experience for him. And then senior year was another music trip, and they went to Dallas. That was a little bit of a... they had an ice storm in Dallas when they went, and they didn't get to come back on time. And we were leaving for Disney World supposed to be like 2 days after they got back, and they got stuck in Dallas and couldn't get back. The highways were literally closed. They couldn't go. And so he got back, and it was like 30 minutes, and we had to turn around and leave for the airport to go to Disney World. So yeah, don't plan back-to-back trips like that, because that doesn't always go well. We did make it, but it was cutting it close. So he's gotten a lot of opportunity. And then he just, this past January, did a study abroad, a J-term abroad. It was on American diplomacy, and he traveled to Morocco, France, and Belgium. And then he also went to Ireland by himself. I was supposed to meet him and go to Ireland with him, but one of the challenges as a single mom is what to do with the other kids. And it's just difficult. We don't really have any friends or family that they can stay with and still go to school. I don't feel it's tough asking my dad to come and stay at our house. It's just kind of uncomfortable for him and not the greatest situation. And the kids just really, they want their mom. And so one of our family travel rules is no child left behind. So if everybody's home, everybody goes, is basically my rule. We don't leave anybody behind. I mean, it's one thing if our breaks don't line up and, you know, Andrew's in class and we go somewhere without him. That's not a big deal. But I don't want to leave anyone at home when it's their break and they could be going with us. And then one of our other travel rules is we don't miss school. We really try not to miss school. We did when they were younger, but now once they get in high school, it's really hard to miss school. They just miss a lot. And our high school's on block scheduling. So if you miss a day, it's like missing 2 days. And then our third one is we don't go to Disney when the crowd calendar is red. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work out now with our other rule of we don't miss school. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes because we really do want to get back to Disney. We love Disney. Okay, so that's past travel. Now let me tell you about our 3 upcoming cruises that we have booked. The first one is coming up very quickly in 57, 58 days, I think. We are going on Royal Caribbean's Mariner of the Seas, which just came out of a multi-million-dollar refurbishment. So I'm very excited about that. It was in Asia for quite a while, and they brought it back and have refurbished it, and we're going to be one of the first sailings on it. It's out of Miami. It's a 4-night Bahamas cruise, which is basically the same itinerary that our Disney Wonder cruise was in 2017 last year. But that's okay. We just, I wanted the kids to get an opportunity to try Royal Caribbean because I've been on it. My older son's been on it, but they have not. So we're doing that. It's going to Nassau, which we don't really get off the ship in Nassau anymore. And Coco Cay, Royal Caribbean, one of Royal Caribbean's private islands. My son has been there, but I have not. And I'm planning on, if those of you who follow Royal Caribbean, if you've seen that they're going to be completely redoing Coco Cay, I will be there before the construction is finished, and then next June I will be there after the construction is finished. So I'm hoping to make some videos for you so you guys can see the changes. We have an aft balcony stateroom on this cruise, which I am very excited about. I've always wanted to have an aft balcony. And so I will be doing a cabin tour of that for you, a stateroom tour. And it's a 4-night. We're going out of Miami. We're flying to Miami a day ahead. The cruise leaves on my birthday. So this was my birthday present this year to me. And the way I paid for this cruise was very cheap. It was $1,300 for the 3 of us. And it's hurricane season, so we'll see how that goes. And it's going to be really hot. Nobody wants to go to Miami in August. The hotel for our 1 night before the cruise stay is really cheap, like $100. So, and that includes like the shuttle to the ship. So, yeah, we got a deal. I used just a small portion of my tax refund to buy this trip and our plane tickets. It was not even like 1/5 of my tax refund to pay for this trip. So, this one's all paid for. We're going. So that's the first one that we have coming up. And then the next one we have coming up is, like I said earlier, we don't want to be stuck at home during spring break. So we have a 5-night Western Caribbean, which I've never done Western Caribbean. We have a 5-night Western Caribbean out of Miami again on the Disney Magic for spring break booked. We're just in an ocean view stateroom with a window on deck 2, which I've done before on the Magic actually with my son when he was 4. And it was a very nice room still. Disney's staterooms are wonderful. They're very big and they're beautiful. And you have the split bathroom and all that. And that one is 2 sea days, Castaway Cay, Disney's private island, and Cozumel. I haven't decided yet if we're going to get off the ship in Cozumel. I have some reservations about Mexico. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. So that's the next one we have coming up in March. That one I have been paying like a bill. So I paid the deposit. And then I figured out, you know, until the deadline for when I had to have the cruise paid off, which is just before Christmas. And I just divided the total evenly. And I have been paying, you know, 1 payment a month. And it'll be paid off, you know, by Christmas. So that's how I'm doing that one. It makes it, I have found that it makes it much easier for me if whatever vacation we're doing, I can pay the whole thing off ahead of time. Because I just feel so much less stressed if I'm not scrambling to come up with money to take with. I mean, obviously you have to have some money with you. You know, you have to have a credit card for stuff that you charge on the ship or whatever. But, you know, and some cash or, you know, if you need taxi fare or whatever. But it's not like you're paying the whole thing as you go. I like cruises and I like Disney vacations because you can pay the whole thing before you go. And then when you're there, you basically don't have to worry about paying for almost anything. Especially at Disney, if you get a meal plan, if you get a dining plan and everything's on your Magic Band, and except for the tips is all you're paying for when you're there. So, and stuff that you buy if you buy souvenirs. But I just find that much less stressful to know I have paid for this whole thing. And when we come back, that vacation we just took is, I don't have to pay for anything now. I don't have a big credit card bill. You know, I really prefer to pay cash and not be charging it on a credit card. The third cruise that we have booked is basically our way of celebrating my son's graduation from college. I had a high school graduation party for him. I'm just kind of, I'm kind of an introvert. I don't really like parties. It went great. My younger two couldn't care less if they have a graduation party. So we're going to probably take a cruise for them too. So that's going to just be a new tradition. We're going to take a cruise for every graduation. So we are taking a 7-night Eastern Caribbean on Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas, June of next year. We're also planning, that one's out of Port Canaveral, and we're planning on going a couple days early and visiting the Kennedy Space Center, which I've never been to. So we're going to have to leave on the last day of school. For us, not my son will have graduated a couple weeks before, but so hoping for no snow days next year because, well, at least not more than 2, which is what we can do now without having to make them up, because we had to make up basically 3 days this year and school got extended. So I hope that doesn't happen next year because otherwise my kids will miss the last couple days of school and I will miss work possibly. I work at the schools. So anyway, we're really looking forward to that one. I love the Eastern Caribbean. I love sea days. We have never been on an Oasis class ship, so we're looking forward to that. So those are our 3 cruises that we have booked and that I will be making videos about. And I'm hoping that you will subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button so when I post a new video about them, and hopefully the future ones are more professional than this because I'll figure out the editing software. And I wanted to answer really quick before I go a couple of quick cruise questions that I have gotten from friends and coworkers about cruising who know that I'm taking these cruises. One is, oh, I wanted to cruise, but I don't want to dress up. You don't have to dress up. Yeah, there's semi-formal night and on longer, like if you're taking a transatlantic cruise on the Queen Mary, you're probably going to have to dress up. But Royal Caribbean, Disney, Norwegian, Carnival, probably even Celebrity, you can get away with not dressing up. It's only dinner that night that anybody... Now, we like to dress up. And I mean, just like wear dresses, and my sons will wear like a polo. Maybe they'll wear a tie. But if you're not going to dinner in the main dining room, nobody cares if you dress up. You know, go eat in the buffet. Get room service. It's all included. So unless you're going somewhere for dinner on the night that's formal night or semi-formal night, you don't have to dress up. We just like getting dressed up for dinner because for us, that's part of the fun of it. And we get nice pictures, nice family pictures. Oh, and I always buy the picture package ahead of time so I can get unlimited photos.